Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to this card making demonstration. I'm going to do this one a little bit different because I'd like to show you the finished card that we're going to make before we make it. We're going to be using a few different techniques to make this card, and it's going to be a long one, so you might want to go get yourself a cup of tea, sit back, take your slippers off and enjoy. I want to show you the way of blending using masking paper and then over stamping and then finishing off to be able to accent your stamped pieces. I've started off where I'm going to be using a 5x5 inch card, and that's going to be our card base. The one thing that you do want to make sure using this technique is that you've got a good sharp score along the edge of the card, and then we're going to mask off our card. So to do this, I'm using artist's masking paper, which is a tacky paper, a bit like a yellow post-it note but covered in yellow post-it note stickiness. You can use your quickie glue pen to make your own masking paper, which I know we've covered before in a previous tutorial, but for this particular one I'm going to use the artist's masking roll, available from all good craft shops. So I'm going to cut off a slice that I will know that fits my card. You can see it's tacky already. And I'm just going to cut this in half, remembering which is the neat side. So the neat side I'm going to place a little bit up my card. Now there's no strict measurement for this, but I'm going to say roughly about there, and I'm going to have to get it straight. And this won't damage your card or anything, but it just covers it to keep it clean in the areas that we're not going to be inking. And then I'm going to place the second piece towards the top of the card, leaving maybe about an inch, and then that covers the top section. And I'm going to just try and make that a little bit straighter, because I'm looking through the camera to try and get it straight, and I don't think I'm doing a very good job there, so we'll just try again. Anyway, you get the gist with the masking paper. So that covers our card up, and you can do this as many times as you like. It's not going to affect the stickiness on the back of the paper. So that covers the areas that we're keeping white. So now we're going to get started with our inking. The first colour that I'm going to use is Spun Sugar, and this is a pale pink, and I'm going to cover the whole card with the pale pink. So I'll just put everything on my mat to protect everything. So let's get started. And I'm going to use circular motions just to get some ink onto the card. I'm not going to worry too much about making it neat and tidy. All I want is some base colour underneath, and then we're going to add colour on top. But it's the age-old thing about adding your paler colour first, because you won't see it once you get going with your darker colours. So I'm going to go all the way around in no particular technique, just inking and blending, building that colour up for as much or as little as I like. And I'm leaving a kind of lighter area in the middle. You don't have to. You can, slap as much on as you like, or you can make it as pale as you like. I'm just showing you how I did it, so then you can get an idea of how you can do it. So that was Spun Sugar. the next one I'm going to use is Fire Brick. Now I'm going to go in a little bit lighter with this, and I'm just going to go at one side really, and I'm going to blend like that, and then I'm going to take it a little bit darker towards the middle, and again, and just lightly go around the rest of it. But this section here I want a bit darker, so I'm quite happy with that. Can even go again. So the next colour I'm going to go with is peeled paint. Sorry, I was going to say milled lavender, but it's peeled paint, and this is the greener colour in the distress range. These are all distress inks that I'm using, and I'm literally just adding this to mainly the centre, and then underneath where we've added the extra red, little bit at the top, and this is just to add a little bit more colour. Next I'm going with pumice stone, so you can see, sorry, it's not pumice stone, it's dusky Concord. I'm saying the wrong names because I've got them written on my blenders, but I haven't got that colour sponge on, so you'll have to forgive me. I will put a list underneath of the colours that I've used, but this one is dusky Concord. Just press that down again. So we're just going in and blending round, building up the colour. We can add this to any of the area, but we just want to be able to see a little bit of purple through it, because as we're getting darker and we're getting to see the different colours. Now the last colour I'm going to add is the brushed corduroy, and I'm going to go all the way around with the brushed corduroy, taking it all the way around the mast area and the edge, building it up, and then I'm going to also take it across the middle just to make sure all those colours are blended in, and around the far edge like so. So now I'm adding a little bit more pressure to get the darkened colour like that. Now the last thing that I'm going to add very lightly is a touch of black soot, and I'm going to start on the masking paper, and I'm going to bring this down in that action rather than blending. So we're just sweeping it down along the edge. You can do the same down the edge of the card, and then we're going to do exactly the same at the bottom as well. We're just going to sweep upwards from the masking paper, bringing the ink onto the card. So that's our card area finished with our shading. So we're going to be able to peel off our masking paper now to reveal our nice clean crisp card underneath, top and bottom. Oh, I've managed to get that quite straight. So next what we're going to do is we're going to take our flower stamp. Now I've got a stamp of a poppy, and I've placed it onto my inking pad, and for this I'm going to use a stays on ink. So I'm just going to lightly tap across the flower. You could use any flower, it doesn't matter, any of your stamps from your stash. So it just so happens I'm using the poppy. So then I'm going to stamp the poppy half on, half off the area that we've just inked. Press down then hopefully it shows our stamp that we've got our poppet. And then I've got a nice sentiment that again I'm just going to ink up using the stays on, and I'm going to place the sentiment half on, half off the area that we've just coloured. So I need to line that up and stamp. There we go. The next thing I'm going to do is I've got a blending pen. Now the area that we've inked the main red for the colour, if you don't think that that's dark enough for your colour of the flower that you've put on, you can use your blending pen to add or take away more colour. I'm actually happy with the amount that I've got on there. I think it looks, you know, I've got a decent colour, decent coverage, and you can see the colour through it nicely. However, I want to colour the leaves, so I'm going to take my blending pen and dip it into my peeled paint ink, and then I'm just going to lightly fill in the colour for the leaves and the stalk on our card, and then that way it looks as though the image has carried on from the inked and blended area that we've just done. So I'll fill that in quite quickly. If I had more time, obviously I'd go over it a little bit neater, but I know you want to see what we finish with and what else we do. So that's our leaves. Now with a blending pen you can just clean your nib and then go into the next colour. So at this point I would normally clean it off and go into the darker colours to tone the leaves, etc. So, but I'm going to consider that we've finished. So I'm going to move on to the next stage, which is our last stage for this. And you're going to need your glossy accents. So to bring out the highlight of the flower, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, so forgive me. There we go. So what you will do is take your glossy accents and all the way around the edge start filling it in with your glossy accents just in the flower to highlight everything that you've done. It won't make your paint or your ink run, it'll just give a nice glossy finish on top of your flower. So you would carry on to do all of that with your glossy accents. Don't be thinking you'll use a lot to do it, because you don't. You hardly use any. But give it a good covering. And then you would leave it to dry. If you get any little air bubbles in, just pop them with a pin. And once you've covered it, if you find you're getting a lot, just drop it down onto your work surface, and that'll bring the air bubbles to the top, and then you can put your pin in to pop them. So you'll need to leave that to dry, and that's when we come back to our finished card. And that's my finished card with the dry glossy accents and the stamped image and the blended background. So I'd like to thank you very much for watching and putting up with me for this nearly 15 minutes. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give me the thumbs up, and hopefully I'll see you again next time.